episode of Walk Talk, my daily morning walk while I spew out some thoughts on what's going on in the world, in particular today. Just want to talk about, my bad day yesterday. I don't usually have too many bad days. I mean, we all have our challenges and stresses of the day, but yesterday was a little tougher than most. So I was on my way to get my van serviced, the NorbCam minivan. I was actually going to do it last week, but I pushed it back to yesterday because I had an issue with uh, my business credit card having some fraudulent charges. So I had to order a new card after this card I've had for years. Had to get a new card. So because that card hadn't come in yet, wasn't going to come in until the end of the week, I decided to push my appointment to this week, yesterday. See you guys jumping on here. Appreciate it. Go Hawks. Buddy Graff, Cactus, Jack 100, Alexander. So, I'm just in the midst of telling you what happened, setting up the story here. So, I pushed my appointment to yesterday. So, I'm on my way to the Toyota service place to get it's like a 30,000 mile service. And I'm stopped at the light, behind a couple cars getting ready to get on the freeway. And all of a sudden, boom, just rocked, right? First, you're shocked when it's dead silent. All of a sudden, bam. Then it finally dawned on me. It's like, oh man, I just got rear-ended. Crap. And it felt like a pretty hard hit. And so I got out of the car, saw the guy behind me. He was driving a silver Infiniti sedan. It was funny because I actually noticed the car prior to that because I was driving down the road and I went to go change lanes to the right, which would put me in front of him. And I noticed the car because I have a friend of mine who also drives a similar looking Infiniti. I thought, oh, that looks like my friend's Infiniti. So I just happened to pay attention, notice the vehicle at the time. Then I come out of the car and then sure enough, it's the silver Infiniti that was behind me. Guy comes out, he's wearing kind of a suit and tie, looks professional. He's right away, I'm sorry about that. He's got his license, he's got his insurance, proof of insurance. And so I'm glad he had that. So he came out already kind of accepting liability. There's no denying, when you're in somebody, pretty much it's going to be your fault. So took pictures of his license, insurance, took pictures of this vehicle situation. I went to the back of the van, and I expected it to be really banged up because it felt like it was a big hit. But to my surprise, the bumper was pretty intact. It really wasn't compromised. I could see kind of the scratch. I could see actually the indentation of the shape of the license plate, kind of like where it almost looked like a very small imprint. But the bumper wasn't actually crumpled in or anything. So I was actually surprised about that. Called my insurance, let them know what was going on. Asked, do I need to have, do I need to get the police involved? Do I need to have the whole accident report? And they said it wasn't necessary. It's up to me, but considering that it wasn't a situation where the car was not drivable or nobody was injured, nothing significant, I thought, I don't think it would be necessary. It's pretty cut and dry what happened. So took all his information down and I told the guy, or he told me, ironically, he was heading to court. I don't know if he's a lawyer or if he's, I didn't get into that, but I thought in my head, maybe you're going to traffic court the way you were driving. And I told him, I'm going to the service, get my car serviced, so I'm going to be checking that out. So luckily, the good side, if you're going to get into an accident, at least to not be one, you never want anyone to be hurt. Neither of us were hurt, so that was good. Good thing I had those headrests up, had my seatbelt on, so all I did was really get jolted back in my seat, but no forward whiplash. It wasn't, I don't know what speed it was going. Obviously, it probably felt a lot harder than it really was. You know, it's more of the feel of it, but it doesn't take much to get jolted. You know what I mean? So I can only imagine what a collision at high rate speed would feel like. That was just barely a little more than a love tap, but at the time it felt a lot harder than it was. Anyway, so I got that going. I'm realizing, okay, I'm gonna have to find out what's the extent. Is there more damage than that visibly that I can see? So I went up to the Toyota, got the van thing going, and had some time to kill. You know, so I followed up with the insurance, got a claim going, because I basically told the department what happened, and I said, so take a look, because what I don't want to have happen, because this is a leased vehicle, I didn't want to have a situation where after when it comes time to turn in the vehicle, that the incident here causes some kind of damage that I would be on the hook for when turning it back in. If there is something like that, clearly I want to get it fixed on the other guy's dime. So I'm waiting. I got a couple hours to kill, doing different stuff. And then I see I see a text that says, now bringing it back, last week I had to cancel my previous business card because of fraudulent charges based on some Microsoft things that I didn't charge. So they got this new card sent out to me on Friday. So then I get another 2 notifications saying you got more, more. Do you recognize these charges? Fraud alert kind of thing. And I look at it and I go, I know I didn't buy anything on the Microsoft Store or Xbox account. So I hit no, these aren't approved. And so I just did that, figuring, okay, at least I got that squared away. Well, then the car was finished. And so I go up to pay. First they tell me, well, as far as the back, it does look like the back hatch mechanism might have been slightly tweaked a little bit when it got hit, because its alignment is a little off. So you probably shouldn't use that for a while, because it might ruin the motor that brings up and down. So I'm definitely going to have to take it into a shop, get an estimate done, and then schedule time to get them to do the repair, all that stuff. It'll all be handled by the other guy's insurance, but still, it's not a hassle of having to schedule this thing, bring it down, have the car out of service for a while, all that stuff. So it's the hassle of it. So then I go to pay, bring out my new car, which I only got a couple days earlier, and it's declined. And I'm like, oh man, let's try that again. Sure enough, declined again. And I figured, oh, that's because when I hit those fraud alert, acknowledge these are fraudulent charges, it must have been on the new card that was triggered, thus resulting in the card being nullified, and once again having to cancel and get a new card sent out to me. So I had to be on the phone for them for a long time, getting that squared away so I can get a new card. So I was thinking, like, how the heck did this new card that I only got 2 days ago and barely even used it, but with a couple of things, how did this card already get fraud charges on it? Like, were they that quick in acquiring that number? How does that work? And they couldn't really give me a good answer. So I went back and I started piecing started kind of figuring out the puzzle together, because one of the guys on Discord who is involved a lot in my Madden streams, Seahawks for Life, Coach Mesh, he actually sent me a DM saying, Norb, did you take your profile offline on Xbox? Because I can't find you on there. I thought, that's weird. It's just NorbCam. And I said, no, I haven't touched it. I hadn't even played it in several days. So I didn't think much of it at the time. But then as I started putting it all together, all these Microsoft charges, Microsoft, of course, owns Xbox. My Xbox account suddenly is not there anymore, and so I log on to so I get home after a long conversation with credit card and insurance, trying to get all the stuff rolling. So I don't log on to my Xbox to try to see if my account is in fact there or not. And sure enough, I try to log on to my NorbCam account, and it says you need to enter the password for this email login, which is somebody else's email. My email that I had on that account was gone. So they're asking me to put in an unknown password for an email I didn't recognize. Clearly, somebody hacked my account. So at that point, it finally dawned on me. So I thought at this point, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's just my Xbox account. Somebody hacked into that, was using it to try to buy game stuff or whatever. So it turns out, after talking to the Visa fraud department, somebody had racked up over $600 in charges to our credit card, my business credit card, via my Microsoft account. About 300 something on my older card, and then with the newer card, not more than a day after I got it, about 200 something dollars in charges on that card. So I'm thinking, okay, somebody somehow hacked my Madden account and is using it to spend. But then I realized, so I tried to get on my PC to try to manage all this stuff, because I also have subscription pay to use Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Adobe Acrobat, all that stuff. I need that. It's a regular part of business, right? Everybody uses that. So I try to log into my account to manage that, and I realize, oh, my login on this is gone too. So basically what happened was, not only did somebody hack my Xbox, they really just hacked my entire Microsoft account. So basically everything that I was using to pay for my Office products and Xbox account, which I only just basically use it for Xbox Live. Somehow just something Siri on my phone, I was asking you a question about being hacked. I didn't ask you. Anyway, so my whole Microsoft account was hacked. Email changed. So I started Googling the issue, and my account was hacked. What do I do? And the frustrating thing about this working with or trying to figure out what to do with Microsoft, they are no help. They're no help in terms of getting tech support to address this question. Mostly what they do is they direct you to online help, self-serve help. And it also tells the same thing. Oh, change your password, or, try changing the security settings, and all this. All that stuff is great if you have access to your account, but they don't take into consideration somebody took my email and changed the password, so I have no access to my account at all. When your account doesn't exist, you can't do anything with it. So I look up, contact customer service for a phone call or online chat relating to this issue of logging in or being hacked. And the website says voice chat or online chat is not offered with this. What the heck? Siri keeps on popping up asking questions. What the heck is this? I feel like technology is just all over the place. All right. So I spent quite a bit of time, got help talking with my friend Mike about it. We were exploring all kinds of threads, there is a number that we found late last night that hopefully might offer something that I hadn't tried yet. So I'm gonna try to do that today. But as it stands right now, the issue I have, I could easily start up a new account with a new password. The downside would be everything I have saved under that account is going to be gone. So any saved online game season, good thing I finished the 2021 season, so that's all finished anyway. But any of the preferences or anything I've done online associated with that account is going to be gone. And then, of course, whatever payments I'd made, legit payments to set up these Office and Xbox accounts are no longer under my control, so those have to be reset up. But the biggest issue that I have that I don't know how I get around it, is this credit card fraud that keeps continuing to happen, because they control the account that my credit card is associated with. And even though I canceled the credit card the first time and got a new one, charges from Microsoft continue to happen on the new card. Now, my concern is I'm going to get another card, a third card now, and if they continue to try to fraudulently charge on it, if it keeps getting red flagged for fraud charges, well, I'm going to have to keep going through this process of canceling the card, getting a new card, and I don't know when it ends. One of the other options they said is, well, you can put a merchant block so that they can't charge you anytime they try to run a Microsoft charge against your card. It'll automatically block it, so no more Microsoft charges will happen, because that seems to be the only place these crooks are trying to are able to use it. Problem is, I still need to legitimately use it, because I still need to use it for Microsoft Office, and I still need to do it for online gaming. So if I can't block the merchant, otherwise I'm blocking myself from actually being able to buy these products that I need to use. So I've yet to get an answer that makes me feel like I'm going to be able to just start over and have this problem go away. So I'm going to try to call that number today and see if I can get like a human being to talk. It's so hard these days with any big company, whether it's like Amazon or Microsoft or Facebook. If you have an issue, you can't really talk to anybody. They'll send you to all kinds of online chat help, or not chat help, but tech help, but nothing that actually, if you have a legit question that needs more one-on-one assistance, no one's going to step up and help you. At least that's what I seem to be finding out. So my next plan is to try to, when I get the new card tomorrow, is start with the Xbox and the Microsoft account, create a new one with a brand new email, totally different password, and use that card just for that, and try to see if the charges continue to happen. If they do, then I know that there's something that this Microsoft account is somehow able to keep tapping into my replacement cards. Because, again, I don't think they have the credit card number. Otherwise, I'd be seeing all kinds of charges from all different places. But it's only Microsoft. It seems to tell me that they just have access to the card on file, and they just keep charging stuff to it, and trying to use it for only that. They haven't gone on to try to use my card in other places. So, because the only other thing I did when I got the replacement card was I put it into a few website streaming services that card pays for. So I was thinking, well, if somehow they hacked the card because of my placing it onto those sites, maybe there's something insecure about those sites that are related. But if I stick to just the Microsoft side, at least I'll know it's only one site that this card is being used on. But so this is taking hours of time. This basically took up the rest of my day trying to resolve this issue, being on the phone, being on hold, researching articles, talking to my business partner about it. I'm still feeling like this problem's not solved. In the meantime, I have no Xbox account. Luckily, my apps still work. Maybe just because they've been paid for to a point, so I'm not my apps haven't been disabled, which would be really hard to have happen. So the time spent, same thing with the whole accident thing. I'm grateful that it wasn't worse. I'm grateful nobody got hurt. I'm grateful that the car is still drivable, so it's not like I had to, down the car and now having to try to figure out how to alter, get around with one less vehicle. But it's just the inconvenience, obviously, of having to spend a lot of time solving the problem that shouldn't have been there in the first place, right? So that's the sucky part about that. But the two things that really kind of linger, not so much from the car accident thing, that was just a fluky bad luck scenario, but with this whole hacking thing, I have no idea how they could have hacked my Xbox or my Microsoft account. And these guys, obviously, you hear the stories all the time. My sister got her Facebook account hacked, never got it back. You hear all these people who are getting credit cards hacked and all those different things. And it seems to be happening more and more often. I mean, I've been just like in the last couple of weeks, I've been getting PayPal code requests where they do the double two-factor verification asking for the code, which basically means that somebody's trying to break into my PayPal account, which would be horrible. If somebody broke into that or your banking account, geez, it's a scary thought. And to think the only thing standing between some guy ready to just drain the thing and, where I'm at now is the fact that they couldn't get that two-factor code that was texted to my phone. But somehow the Xbox, the Microsoft one, they did. So it is a little scary to think how vulnerable are we with all this technology. I'm guilty of, I'm sure as many of you out there, that we often use the same passwords for certain things. Been forced lately to change a lot of them up, but there's some certain things that somebody got lucky, they could figure out one and try it in another and they might get something. But my next step is to redo all the passwords and make them all different, which is a pain in the butt, but maybe that'll help make things a little more secure. But I even wonder too, when you get on your computer and you do a pay with a credit card, it asks you want to save your payment information for future use, and I have done that before, and I wonder, is that putting myself at a risk? Because somebody somehow gets in my computer, are they able to access all the stuff that's on the computer? It gives you a very sense of, not a good sense of security, not feeling like anything you do is safe. And I know that there's professionals out there whose full-time job is to try to hack into your account, hack into your business, hack into your whatever, and try to get away with something. And it's frustrating, man, because what are you supposed to do? You can't unplug and just not do anything electronically. But how safe are things? How secure do we got to go to prevent these types of things from happening? So I don't know if you guys have this kind of experience, or if you've ever had your Microsoft account hacked and taken by somebody and who took over with a whole new email and locked you out of your own account. If you guys ever got that resolved. But that's the issue. That's the issue I'm faced with right now. I'm hoping that somehow if this third card goes and it just stops being used and the other account just kind of goes dead, well, the worst thing that'll happen there is I'll probably end up losing my NorbCam handle. I have to change it to something else. And probably have to spend a few extra bucks reinstantiating my services for Office and Microsoft, which is not a big deal. I mean, that's just your yearly subscription cost. But it's just the inconvenience of basically losing access to my business card every time a fraud thing happens, because then it's cancel it, wait 2 days for the new card to come in, and and then hope this one's going to come through and not be hacked either or fraudulently charged against. So the other side of it again, with this problem becoming more and more common, it seems like a frustration with the fact that other than the credit card company, Microsoft, Facebook, all the actual companies you put your numbers to pay for their services, when you need help, it is extremely hard, if not impossible, to get a person to talk to help you solve your issue. And much less someone who can speak English well. That's the other problem, is that when you do talk to somebody often, you end up getting someone from a phone bank in India or in the Philippines, or sometimes it's fine. There's a lot of times, though, that you feel like it's just hard to communicate, without having to repeat yourself or clarify extra hard what's going on. Not to mention all the time you gotta sit on hold. But, that's my frustration with the companies, that they do all this stuff, which is great when it works, but when you have a problem and they don't have anybody there to help you resolve it, you kind of feel like they really don't care about you. As long as you're paying, they really don't care if you're having a problem or not. And that would be my biggest gripe with this thing, is that they have not provided me an option to speak to a person to resolve this. And this is a pretty serious thing, as it impacts my business and the ability to pay for things and just run things without, a big stoppage of inconvenience to what I need these services for. So, so yesterday was not a good day. It definitely took its toll on me. And I think that, coupled with, the regular stress of life. Every day you got things you got to try to get done. You're always up against the clock on something. But add to the mix, everything that has been going on with my dad. It's definitely added a level of stress underneath everything. That's always kind of there, even though I think he's doing good and making progress slowly but steadily. But there's that. There's the stress of my oldest daughter and getting ready for college and all the things she needs to get done with that. There's a certain amount of anxiety that comes with that, just kind of a regular basis that's just there. And in fact, I'm traveling next week. Anytime you have a trip coming up for an extensive period of time, there's always a little bit of extra stress of trying to feel like you got to get things done before you leave, right? Like leaving things unfinished when you're going to be gone for a while. And this whole car fix thing, from the accident to trying to get this hacking issue resolved before I go. I mean, these are all things that I want to try to get done, because when I get back, I got a whole bunch of work that's going to be waiting for me. That, with this pile on top of it, definitely not going to add to making things go any more smoother. So, and the worst part about it is everything. I feel like I had no ability to control what happened. I was just sitting there, stopped at a light, and this guy just hit me. I wasn't responsible. I wasn't doing anything that I could have done to have changed the fact that this guy just, for whatever reason, wasn't paying attention and slammed into the back of my car, back of my van. Who knows? I'm guessing number one culprit, he was probably on his phone, wasn't looking up, and probably didn't realize the traffic had stopped. That is my guess, but I don't know that. And then this whole hacking thing, obviously, this credit card I had before this I've had this number for years, and I've had to replace it twice in 4 days. And, I never had any issues with my Microsoft account before until now. So somehow somebody was able to bust through the security and figure things out. I don't know how they did it. And I don't know how much I could have controlled that, or how much it was just bad luck, or some very determined criminals who use all the technology that they know to break in, and did it. So luckily, all the money that they've spent is all going to be eventually, discounted and refunded by the credit card company. That's one good thing about credit card companies, are pretty good about that. So it's not going to shouldn't cost any money. All the money that got charged should all eventually get worked out. But it's that feeling of, how vulnerable am I now? What else does this person have access to? How am I going to keep them from getting in the next time? Because I don't know where they came in from. So like if you got a mouse problem in your house, you can get rid of the rats that are up in there, your attic. But if you don't know where they came in, how do you stop them from coming back in? What was the weak point? What was the hole that they found? And is that back door or whatever still there? Like I said, I can start over with a whole new login, email, and password, and whatever they try, they would have to figure out the new combination, which won't be anything like what it was before. But we'll see. It's the question of, is this fraud thing going to continue, even with a second replacement card? And that's the part that is the biggest concern for me. But it just makes you realize, man, there are so many people whose job, their full-time job out there, is to try to steal or scam people into, putting their money somewhere where it's really not intended to be. And that's the scary part. What if you're logging onto an account and somehow somebody's able to track what you're typing? You log onto your bank account or your credit card, and are they able to? Is that a realistic thing, that as you type in your username and password, that they can track what you typed, and now they got the key to your thing? How do you stop that, right? I mean, it's the way you get in. So how would you prevent someone from stealing everything? I mean, how would you, if that is a tool that they have at their disposal, how would you be able to prevent things in the future, short of just not doing it? And we are so tied up in, e-commerce and electronic shopping and, electronic accounts. I can't even, even if I wanted to just buy Microsoft Office, I don't know, maybe there's other hard copy versions out there, but at least what I saw is that if you want to have the new version, which unfortunately I do, because a lot of times I get documents from other clients, and if you're not on the up-to-date version, you won't be able to open it with old versions of Word and things like that. So I got to stay up to date so that I can do business with the other clients that we interface with. So kind of stuck with having to do these online subscriptions, which of course, when it's online, you feel like at any point, if that connection gets taken down, or like in this case, gets hacked, well, all of a sudden you don't get it, you don't have access anymore. It's frustrating. That was a very stressful day yesterday. And you try to tell yourself when you're in the middle of it and you're stressing, you try to tell yourself that, well, you know what, don't stress out too much because it could be worse. And I know this is true. Anything can be worse than what you think is your worst day of the week. Believe me, I know that you could add a lot of different things to make your day a hell of a lot worse. But it still doesn't take away the fact that you're dealing with the stress of that particular moment of what you have. Weeks from now, days from now, months from now, years from now, I might look back and go, I remember I was all stressed about that Xbox, Microsoft thing. It wasn't even a thing. I don't know why I was so stressed about it. But as of right now, it's there. It's front and center, something that I have not yet been able to resolve. And so every once in a while, you have just days where no matter how much you tell yourself, it's, count your blessings. And, it could be a lot worse than what you got right now. It is the stresses we deal with. So, trying to keep things balanced with not letting it overwhelm, but at the same time, you know, it's hard to not let it get under your skin, you know what I mean? So today was also bittersweet. My sister, Monica, who's been here for a week now, a little over a week, just flew back to Spokane. She only had a week she could spare to kind of be out here to help my dad and my mom out, which has been great. But today she flew back. So as of now, my parents are back on their own. So I'm a little nervous about that, just because it was very comforting to know my sister was right there to help out in any way. And so my parents are going to have to make do, and I'll check in with them as much as I can. But again, this is the biggest thing I think at this stage of life. That is the biggest challenge. It's just time. Time to do all the things you have to get done. You have a day, you get up, and you have a time that you sleep. And somewhere in between those 2 hours of the day, you're trying to get all these things done. Some that have to get done that day, some that, you're trying to get a jump on things that you have to get done in a day or two. And then you end up dealing with things that just get thrown your way. A phone call you didn't expect, or a sudden emergency thing that, got to go take care of this right now. That wasn't on my list, but I got to do it. Right? So, I think it's the same no matter what, whether you're 50 or 70, 30, or even a teenager. You all got things you got to do. And it might be more school related, maybe it's after school activities related, or just other things you got going on. But we all have stress. We all have things in our life that we are trying to get done, and we only have so much time for. And then you got to make tough choices to decide how much of my time do I get to spend on this, because if I spend my time on this, I can't spend my time on this. This gets pushed back, and so it's hard, because there's only so much time, in the day. So, there's just so many things that you got to make choices about. Hello. Corgi. Vanessa loves corgis. Almost closing in the last block and a half here. Daddy Dennis, I call them championship days. Rise up, be the champion. That's true. You put in a sports analogy, it's like you got to grind, you got to fight through, you got to make a play, you got to battle through adversity and get things done. It's hard, man, especially when things aren't going your way. Just like in a game. That's what I think that's what's great about sports. Sports teaches you a lot of things. If you played sports, or you have, kids in sports, or even if you root for teams in sports, you got to learn to deal with the adversity. But more so when you're playing, or when in our case, kids who are playing, trying to help coach them up so that mentally they can deal with the adversity of when you get down or you start going through a bad slump and you're just, you're off. And how do you get out of that slump? How do you help your teammates get out of the slump? How do you inspire your teammates to get together when you start losing and everyone's down and quiet and things look like they're slipping away, momentum swinging the other direction? How do you stop that and make a play and get everyone's energy up so that you can get back to where, you're functioning at 100%, making things happen? A lot of parallels there. So, yeah, I'm in that position now. I got some things I got to tackle. I got to try to explore more options on how I can investigate this Microsoft thing. I may not solve it today. That's the other thing too, is you have things on your list and sometimes you go, all right, I got to solve Microsoft hacking problem. And I would love to go and check that off and go, solved, done. Okay, moving on to the next item on my list. But one of the most frustrating things is when you have something on your list to start the day, you were hoping to get it off your list. At the end of the day, the day's gone by for whatever reason. And now it's 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night and you realize, God, I didn't solve that problem. I have to move it to tomorrow's list now. So the list never got, whittled down. And often what happens is, say you have 10 things on your list today. You get 2 done, but then 4 pop up. So in the end, your list didn't actually shrink, it grew by 2. That's life. Because no matter how much you plan things, life's going to throw you a few curveballs. They're going to throw a rear ender at you. They're going to throw a hacked Microsoft account at you. You know, they're going to throw, they're going to throw a COVID case at you. And all of a sudden now you thought your day was bad. Now you got to deal with this. So, got to find a way. You're going to have a bad day. We're all going to get our turn. But I also know that there's going to be good days coming up. So if you endure the bad days, get through it. There will be better days ahead. So you got to keep telling yourself that, even when you're in the middle of what feels like your worst day ever. So on that note, you guys go and have a great day. And even if it's not, more importantly, just know if you are struggling, having a really crappy day, and you're just going, man, this sucks. Know that there's things will get better, no matter how bad it seems to be. And I keep telling myself that, and you guys tell yourself that. So it will get better. The sun does rise in the morning. It might not be the next day, it might not be for a week, but it will rise eventually. So just keep believing that. All right, you guys have a good day. Make the most of your day. Good luck with getting your stuff done and enjoying the day. And I'll update you with the continuing saga of what's going on with this. More fun stuff, but that is the game of life. Talk to you guys later. Have a great day. Go Hawks.